Hey, my creative friends. My name is Shannon, and you can find me at shannonstudio.com, or you can find me giving tips, creative life tips, so we can have a creative lifestyle. I totally believe in the benefits that have been researched about having a creative lifestyle and how much healthier you are, happier you are, so many things. So I am just here talking about how we go about in our real lives and how we can be creative. So, but on Sunday, I usually tie in creativity to spirituality, and that's what we're going to do today. So, one of the things that I realized was yesterday was National Write Down Your Story Day, and I forgot totally about it. I had it in my notes and everything else, and I had some things that I wanted to share. So, we're going to talk about National Write Down Your Story Day, simply because if the scriptures, the written word, are stories from people who kept records. And they kept records in a specific way, but they kept records nonetheless. A lot of personal stories, personal narratives. And so the scriptures are full of stories that, good stories, bad stories, even the bad stories, they can teach us. So filled with stories, that's what the scriptures are. So I wanted to talk about how we write our stories. Hey, Trisha. I belong to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and so we are a record-keeping people. And we talk about keeping journals and records and all those kinds of things. And how important they are to us. So I'm going to tell you a couple of things. One of the ways that I think in society we do today is to keep our records and some of our thoughts and feelings on social media. That's what we do. And one of the things that I read is that there are 8 million posts on Instagram with the hashtag making memories, and even 70 million that say memories with an extra S. So even if they can't spell it, there's still 70 million of those. We record things that make us happy. We record things that are trials. So even on Instagram, the only thing I have against Instagram is that it's not written down, that it's not, so somebody can't pick it up who doesn't have Instagram for whatever reason. I don't think it's going anywhere, but it could be gone. And then all those things that we have recorded there. So that's why I totally love those books that you can just, that come around at the end of the year that you can just click and print. Love those. So in the idea of writing your story down, and also with the COVID-19 going on right now, so many people have slowed way down. We have just really, this is really a take a breather. If you're not sick, if you're not one of the ones who are sick or having struggles right now, which is a lot of us, we are not struggling, and we have time. I've cut out 2 hours a day just walking Joseph to school. And so that's 2 extra hours of my day. And I think some of that time can be put to writing and sharing our story, writing our story down. So it's kind of, I have down here, why keep records? Well, my husband, I'm going to show you this, my husband's dad writes family histories. So he just recently wrote this history about his mom and dad. And my husband's been up there reading at night after he's done reading with Joseph. He's been reading about his grandmother and grandfather. And he's known a lot of the stories because they're said, but some of the things he hasn't known. And he's just poured over. And then he's just talked about it with me afterwards. And it just means so much to him to hear what his grandma and grandpa thought. It's an inspiration. It's a connection. We connect with people who we read their stories. We are inspired by them, or they're cautionary tales. They can lift us. There's so many things that stories can do for us that we need to, and I know you're going to say, well, my life's not that important. My life's not that great. It's unique to you because of the combination of things that have happened to you. And because family wants to know about family. They want to know about you, what you thought, what you struggled with. I mean, even now, my kids will ask me things. How was your pregnancy? How was this? So they want to know how you felt about things and what you did. And plus, yeah, they want to know. So, how do you go about? I mean, there's so many ways to go about journal writing down your story. So I'm just going to share a few, and I wanted to do this because the strange thing is that Joseph's been out of school for a few days, and so he wants to get on the tablet and just watch videos, and so I'm like, no. And he's, one morning he threw a fit, and I'm like, no. And it's like, every time you ask me, I'm going to say, no, you can't watch it until the afternoon. And so he's going, trauma and drama. And so all of a sudden he comes out, and he got this journal from one of the missionary couples who, they gave it to him because it was left over somewhere. So what he did was he started writing his own story. He said, I'm going to write my life story. So I just want to show you, he just started writing. And then he decided he wanted pictures. And he's taken a stapler and just stapled the pictures in. So it is pretty funny how he's done that. But he was taking it seriously. He wanted to write his own story. And I'm just like, that is just darling. I just thought it was darling. That he wanted to write, and he was talking about when he was a baby and how he was trying new things, and he was growing, and I was just totally delighted to see that he felt his story was important and he wanted to write it down. And so any of us can do it. Any of us. I mean, you could draw pictures. So anyways, so this is my regular journal, and I started a while ago a prayer journal. So that I wanted to write specific things, that I wanted to be more thoughtful when I prayed, and there were people that I wanted to pray for and about. And so I started, doing that. And I don't write in it every single time. Hey, Lar, I don't write every time I pray. I don't write in this. But sometimes when people are struggling, like when some of my friends are online and they say, we're struggling, can you pray for us? Sometimes I take a note and write it down, what I'm praying about. I don't know why. I just feel like, I'm going to try it. I'm going to do this. It's going to help. So but again, it's not every time I pray, but it's enough times that I have a journal for it. So, this is also another thing I do, journaling. I'm just showing you examples of how you can do it, how you don't have to sit and be so serious. Like his dad has taken the journals and written a book, and it's serious. And, sometimes we can be a little less serious, and we don't have to be like every day. Like my prayer journal's not every day. My other journal's not every day. And this one is about my kids. And so I write about the kids, put their little names. A lot of times I was finding, because I talk to them often enough and there's enough of them, that I would kind of like, did they tell me that? Did I talk to, So I started writing down, and their friends. They talk about their friends, and it's like, now whose friend was that? Was that? So I started writing down some things in our conversations, and just jot down a note while we're talking, because then it's just like it'll bring it back to my memory. And so I started doing that, and I only do this periodically because I talk to them more than I write. Sometimes I'm doing other handwork and stuff when they call, but sometimes I will just jot down a note, and I doodle, like when I was talking to them, or when I talk to them, it's like doodle. Nobody says it has to be like nice and neat. Another, and then one more I have is that a list journal, like favorites. I saw this favorite list. Favorite things, or so a list journal. So it just gives you prompts, and you just write a list for the day. So if you're like a list maker and you don't want to write out everything, so a list of the things I do on the Sabbath, or my favorite hymns, my past teachers, my strengths, books I've read, triumphs I've had, what nurturing means to me, my creative life. So, there's just different ways to do it and just have fun with it. I was going to show you, I think I've shown you this before, but also, you can, this is a record too of, things that I'm doing. Like when I'm doing my watercolors, it's like places I've gone, things I've eaten, and then I put them in the computer and I have some written words. So I have text that I have written down on other papers that I'm going to put in there. So it can be anything. The idea is to get something down on paper. In fact, guess what? Your idea book, if you've been keeping it, can also be that kind of a record of you. So anything, any way you want down on paper who you are, what you think, how you feel, your insights, your perspective, all those things. And it's important. You're important. And one day somebody's going to go, I really wish I had a record of what she thought. Trisha, with your firefighter, I wish you would have written about what it was like to be, on the forefront of women firefighters. I wonder what that was like. And Laura, you with your little grandkids that and the ones that just came, your twins that just came up, and what that's like, and the struggles you might have, and how you overcame those struggles. I just think that just if you put a book out and you just like write a thought down, pick a trigger time. So if it's like, I'm going to get up in the morning and the first thing I'm going to do is write a couple sentences, or I'm going to have this list of, different, things. I'll just write a list of my favorite foods, my favorite whatever. I still have something that we did back in Young Women's. Remember this, the 100 things I like about myself, something like that. I still have that. Just records of ourselves, that we were here and we had thoughts, and especially if you're creative, you can figure out a way to do this. You can figure out. So in honor of National Write Down Your Story Day yesterday, be creative and write your story down. Get it on paper somehow, way, shape, or form. And that is the tip for today. And that's it. So remember, you have a creative heartbeat, so listen for it. And I will be back tomorrow. Bye.